A very good evening to all our viewers. On behalf of Vibrant Networking Forum, I welcome you all to members on the hot seat, which is also known as the hot seat, cool seat event. So, as the name suggests, this is a very cool concept where we have one member sitting on the hot seat who is answering questions asked by another member who is sitting on the cool seat. So, today we have a very interesting panel of discussions lined up. We have five conversations. We will limit all these conversations to about 12 to 15 minutes, and the next 75 minutes are going to be very thrilling. So, I suggest all our viewers to get a cup of tea, coffee, or perhaps some popcorns and just sit tight for the next 75 minutes. It is going to add a lot of value to your professional and personal life. Without any further ado, the first conversation that we have is Miss Mandeep Kaur on the hot seat with Colonel Chima on the cool seat. Over to you, sir.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening,
Good.
ladies and gentlemen. I have on the hot seat a very impressive personality, very eminent poet and author, Mandeep Kaur, who has spent 20 long years in the professional world, in the corporate world, and she is now the vice president of a multinational company, telecom company, which is a great achievement. She is also an author, and she is author of her latest book is Living to Winning, which itself shows that what kind of personality this wonderful lady is. Now, I want to ask you, ma'am, that whenever you talk about the corporate world, you talk about the ruthless ambition, and you talk about all kinds of cutthroat competition. How did this book happen? How did you come to this field of writing? Kindly tell us something about your book. And if you have the book, I'll be very grateful. The viewers will be very happy to have a first look at the book.
Sure.
Yes, Mandeep.
Good evening. So, first of all, let me thank you for a very warm welcome and such a wonderful introduction. And also to the Vibrant Forum for having me. I am kind of finding this hot seat, cool seat concept really interesting. I don't know if I'm really that hot person. I think I'm more of a lukewarm person. Moderation and simplicity is more of my mantra in life. So, uh, yeah. So before I, reach the book, I think my book is about my life. It's about my career. It is not a very literary fiction or something. It is more of a self-help book, and it is you can say it's a motivational book because. But when I wrote, I did not have any of those things in my mind. It was, you know, I used to write when I was young in school and college. I used to write small poems and short stories at the back of my school text notebooks. But then I got married and started working, and this interest of writing just went away and forgotten. At the back of my mind somewhere, busy having kids and kind of their schools, their homeworks, my work, full-time job. So once they grew up and they reach my son was already preparing for his 10th standard boards. So that is when, like a mother is anxious whether he's actually studying or he's distracted. So I would sneak into his room and sit with him while he was studying late at night, but not having anything to do. So I started writing my own bit. I would take my tab or laptop and start writing. So that was when I started again, and slowly and gradually, I wrote some poems, and then somebody guided me. Why don't you start a blog? So then I put them up on the blog, and I started adding my poems to blog. I think that was a good idea because otherwise you keep losing them. You write somewhere, leave it, or put it in a file, and you forget. So then once I had good, 40, 50 poems and a bit of a prose written around them to build context, that is when, some friends told me, why don't you publish? So
I think
I
it is
went,
a great idea, ma'am, and I'm sure the ageless wisdom which this your book, all self-help books give something positive, something good to the reader. But I suppose when you are reading a book, the book is also reading you. So a good book is accepted by the readers, and I'm sure the wisdom which you nuggets of wisdom which you have in this book are going to be helpful, extremely helpful to a lot of, especially the managers and I suppose junior and middle level managers. Now,
yeah, I
kindly
think,
tell me, that
Yeah.
your journey to the vice president chair, yeah, rising up the ladder. It is a well-known fact all over the world. People talk about it. The discrimination against the gender discrimination and workplace politics and balancing the home and the professional job. All these things put together, and a woman boss. Woman boss is a something which there are a lot of misconceptions about, especially in India. Please tell us, how was your journey to this uh, top level? How did you reach this place? What was your experience?
Okay. So I would say, you know, uh, I started a career long time back. Organizations were not yet, at that time, really so ready to have so many of women employees. While there were a lot of
Yes,
women who were joining the corporate world, but not many of them were reaching the senior leadership roles. So because of the,
yes,
challenges, any woman, I mean, it's not with me, I'm sure all the women go through those challenges. Uh, they will start working, and then time comes when they get married. When they get married, they have to change the city sometimes, go out from one city to other. And for that they have to quit their job sometimes and look for another. And after that, when they plan their family, that is also when they have to, sometimes they drop out because of that, because the way it was seen in our times was, okay, you worked, ho gaya aap, now you sit at home and look after your children. You've done your bit, and that's the first priority. Now that's the model we always had in the society, right? And so women have to wear a lot of hats. So she has to be a good professional. She puts a lot of pressure on herself, I think. So you have to be a good mother, you have to be a good family person, daughter-in-law or spouse. At the same time, you have to be a good professional, compete with your male colleagues. So by having said that, I don't say the journey is easy for men. They have their own set of challenges, because while women at that time still could negotiate and make a choice of you know leaving their career for a while and take it easy and take a sabbatical. But I don't think men have the choice. The society puts a lot of pressure on them, that they have to be, they are known as the ones who earn the living, right? So you don't think of
yes, certainly, and certain people appreciate that a woman achieving that kind of thing. It calls for a better, more celebration, because you achieving this kind of woman achieving this position is so important and so inspiring for many other women who are in this world, the corporate
certainly.
world. They also are looking up to people like you.
Absolutely. No, I would say overall the journey has been relentless hard work, and setting tough goals for myself, and then
Okay.
constantly
Yes.
pushing myself out of my comfort zone, going ahead and achieving them, uh, sometimes missing them too, but learning in the process. So a lot of learning. And at the same time, as a woman, you also carry the extra baggage of guilt, that as a mother, are you there for your children
Yes.
while you're having
Yes.
a full-time job? So constantly you carry that. And but in the end, I would say it is overall very rewarding, humbling, and God has been kind.
Great, great. Now, coming to the corporate world scene in India, ma'am, what I have observed, or whatever little I know, is that we hire people here in our organization because of their qualifications and experiences, and not because of their potential and talent. I have not seen any organization, yours may be an exception, where they have talent management systems, proper talent management system, that you attract talent and you are able to retain that kind of talent. Now, and most of the our organization, they lack, agility, discipline, and focus. And that is why many organizations which start with a bang, they ultimately peter down. So, what is your experience about this kind of thing in Indian scene?
Okay. So I would say I'm fortunate to have worked in very, very professional organizations. And I mean, most of the times I was working for multinational organizations who were really evolved for the times, and who had the models to really weigh talent and merit over, you wouldn't say seniority. I haven't heard this term for the longest time in my career. So the things that we talk about is always merit, performance, potential, talent, and there are very scientifically developed models that we have,
Yes.
So as leaders, we are trained on how to evaluate people. You just can't have your whims and fancies and you feel that, this guy looks like a good guy. You have to, you're trained how to decipher a good talent, a good potential versus not so great, an average one. So at the same time, we are also, there are annual appraisals, there are feedback sessions with the management. So I think unless you really focus on getting the right kind of people for the right kind of roles, both experience and talent and potential is important. It depends. You're from defense, right? So the kind of people you require in a war situation is different from the peacetime, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. No,
in
no.
corporate industry, you also go through very warlike situations. You could be on a project stage. You are in a very highly competitive market. Economy may be under stress. So in such times, you have to take the right combination of experience as well as the potential. So the person
Kindly
with the
tell me, ma'am, one thing that I don't know if professional honesty is a very big virtue in most of the companies. I'm not talking about multinational company or your company, but I know that those people who are professionally honest and
yeah
profoundly involved in their work, actively
yeah
engaged in their work, they are just about 60% of the people. And every organization has some passengers. Passengers, who
right,
come
right.
and
We got
now
the
this kind of
freelancer.
situation, this is professional dishonesty. Now,
Yeah.
do you experience? I mean, generally, I'm not talking about your organization at all, of course. I mean, do you feel that this professional dishonesty is a problem which most of the companies in India face?
There can be in a lot of companies. It starts from the right recruitment. At the time of recruitment, if you have the proper assessment methodologies in place and the ways to find out the right talent, and you approach the right institutes to take the candidates, it starts from there. So if somewhere you drop the ball and you get somebody who's not really, and there are times you will take people, but later you would realize that they are not really fit for this role, right? So then of course there are processes that you have to follow. There are people at times in your team who are who are not really showing the great managerial skills. So
Okay.
there are ways you have to coach them, you have to counsel them, because they will not last for long. You can continue with this kind of a dishonesty for some time. You can fool with people, the system for some
Yes.
time,
About
but beyond some time you will get exposed, right? And in organizations which are very professional, they have a 360-degree kind of a feedback model.
yes.
So
Yes.
I'm getting assessed. It is not only my seniors who are evaluating me, it is my all the stakeholders, including my team members, who evaluate me, that how good a manager I am. So if there is something coming up which is worrying to an organization, it will come out. It gets exposed, and your performance will reflect. If you don't have the right kind of people in your team, you have free riders, you don't know how to get work done, how to put the people into the right roles. Eventually, you will not be able to show the performance you're expected to, right?
You
So
see,
it
ma'am, most of the people in India, at least 88%, we are
yeah,
deeply religious people, and we believe in work is worship. Some do believe in worship is work, but work is worship. Now, in spite or despite that, there are people who are professionally dishonest. I suppose the small number will always be there in any organization, and one has to take care of that.
yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
there are a lot of people, supervisor, junior manager, middle level managers, and even senior managers who must be watching you now. And with your kind of achievement, now, what would be your message for these kind of people who are looking up to you? What will you advise them as a great achiever, as the top rung corporate world achiever? Tell us something about your message to the manager, junior manager.
Sure. So, in fact, in my book, that what I've written, I think that maybe the young people who are just setting on their flight for the first time and building their career in the middle management level, if they read, they will really know maybe the mistakes I made, they will not make. So they will venture more cautiously and navigate their way much more successfully. Because I was very naive from a very middle class family like we are, and for the first time, somebody was working in a corporate. So I had my share of learning, but this can be used by the youngsters who are making their career now. Before that, I would say something very interesting.
Okay, yes.
Normally, as a woman leader, you're tend to told that all the women, in the at workplace, that look at her, she's the role model. So.
Uh,
So once my manager said, when I was addressing on one of the Women's Day, he said, that's a very wrong way to approach that. Why should only women take you as a role model? I think you're a role model to all men and women.
very good.
I think
Yes, yes.
I learn a lot from you. So I think that was the right way and perspective, that when you realize that you have an impact. So I just want to leave one message in the end that, we have to constantly remain relevant, right? Awareness is very important. In this career, you will always have to juggle into a lot of things, men and women. You have families, you have persons, you are a father, you are a mother, and then you are a professional. So you have to juggle between a lot of balls. But at the same time, you may drop some ball. But the awareness will help you to know which are the must retain balls, which are the good to do, and which are the ones, if push comes to shove, we can let it be, right? Not just let them drop accidentally. So, and make yourself relevant, always keep training yourself, upskilling yourself, see what is latest coming. Don't just continue with the old laurels and what you learned 20 years back in your degree. There are ways to.
Absolutely. You have to unlearn those things. I mean, learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, keeping yourself abreast with the latest in your profession, I suppose it is part of your duty, responsibility, and one must keep abreast with the latest in whatever profession one is.
Absolutely. So I'll just recite few lines of a poem that I
Okay,
wrote,
ma'am.
that
Welcome.
change, reinventing is important. So tough shall never hit if you plan change while it is still crest. Break inertia, explore more when you are at your best.
Mhm.
Move on when you get the first signal of beginning of dusk. For there is a new dawn awaiting, and night we walk through must. Choose when you have options, not when you are not left with a choice. Speak when it
Mhm.
matters, not when no one needs your voice. Act when you must, not when it is
Great.
trivial and right. No one but
Beautiful.
you decide when the time is right. Thank you.
Great, great, ma'am. This is absolutely great, great message. See, I thought I'll share with you and with the viewers a message that the old system, the myth that only hard work and sacrifice can get you the best result. I suppose that is gone. You can win without losing. That is not taking care of yourself. You are not being good to others. I mean, I suppose that fixing your mask first before trying to help others is also very important. So, love yourself no matter what. You are a very, very important part of the total organization. The family and the people who are looking up to you, they're all, depending upon you in one way or the other. So, cashing on social capital which you have built, being good, nice, helpful to people, and keeping in mind that I am better than I think I am. Every manager must understand that there is so much the manager has and
Yeah.
so much can be done. Maybe the potential has not been realized fully because of any number of reasons. But reminding yourself every day that I am better than I think I am every day, that is your confidence in yourself. You may be whatever you are, but knowing that yes, you can achieve and you can do, this has made you so great. As a matter of fact, I mean, people who look up to you, they know that you have put in a lot of hard work, a lot of effort has gone into all the journey. But then it was because of your confidence in yourself, and you continue working and you reach the top. So that is what I feel. But that old myth, that you must sacrifice, you must continue doing. As a matter of fact, I keep telling people that I've seen my parents doing this kind of thing, sacrificing and hard work, and then I have done it for my children. Now my children are doing it for their children. But that hard work and sacrifice is not a must to be able to achieve big results. You can win
True.
and get great results even without losing by looking after yourself and putting yourself first. It is not being selfish, to my mind. If you look after yourself, and take care of yourself, only then you will be able to take care of others in your organization or your family and all. So I suppose managers must keep this in also in mind that they are very important and they must take care of. Now, something more about your book, ma'am. Now, tell me, I mean, one of the chapters or something. Yes, it is a beautiful title and it conveys a lot. As a living to winning, it conveys a lot. But what are the various aspects which you have covered in this book, ma'am?
I think so. I'll just quickly share because I think we are almost meeting our time limit.
Yes,
So it is
yes, I am
about
getting it.
me setting up my goals. And when you say goals, it is not about just work goals. It is about living a holistic life. It is about having your personal goals,
Yes,
your family goals, your spiritual goals, your social goals, and then your work goals. So if you have set goals for yourself in every domain and aspect of your life, and you put them down, when you write them down, that is when you actually realize that you need to really know more about what you really want to achieve in life and put certain measurables to it. So this
yes.
is the book is all about, and this is how I
Okay.
have tried to share how I
Thank you,
achieved
ma'am.
my.
Thank you very much. I think we have
Thank
a
you so much,
wonderful
sir,
time.
and thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am.
Okay.
It has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Thank you
really
so
sorry
much.
that today we have just 15 minutes for each conversation. So
Right.
thank you so much for joining in. And now we have Mr. Vivek Atre and Ms. Ritu Kocher with us. Right. So over to you, Vivek, sir, for the next 15 minutes.
Good
Thank
evening.
you, Anshuman. Over to you, Ritu.
Good evening. Good evening. It's good to be on the cold seat today.
Yeah,
Everybody
you should
knows.
be on the hot seat and I should be on the cool seat.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be on the cold seat today.
Okay.
Everybody knows Mr. Atre. Mr. Atre has so many feathers in his cap, but still, I'll just take a minute to introduce you. Uh, an ex-IAS, an author, a motivational speaker, a columnist, an advisor, and so many things, Mr. Atre. So I don't know where to start, but my first question would be, out of all these feathers that you have in your cap, which is that one particular feather which is super close to you, which is very
Well, it's
precious and very close to your heart?
it's a great question, Ritu. First of all, thank you for the warm introduction and welcome. And in fact, I should be welcoming you because I'm one of the founders of Vibrant Forum. But all the speakers today, I think it's a great lineup to say. First off, I think Colonel Chima and Mandeep had a great session, and we hope we will live up to that level of expectation. But I think of all the kind of things I've been involved with, my first love was cricket, and I used to tell Nina, my wife, that before Nina I met cricket, and that was my first love. So she was chronologically she was the second one, so she knows that. And but in my career, I think what I really feel that I enjoyed the most was bringing a smile to someone's face. And as an officer, I was able to do that many times. And luckily, I'm able to do that now also. So that is what really gives me joy.
That's wonderful. And do you feel that these past 5 months have changed you as a person? Do you feel that, staying at home, we've been maintaining lockdown and social distancing and everybody talking about discovering your inner self? So you as a person, what have you done? How have you maintained your inner peace and calm and everything?
In fact, it's more than 6 months now, Ritu, and time really has not really flown. Everybody's counting the days, but it is pretty long. And you're right, it's a mini part of our lives. I mean, in the long journey, I always say I made lots of motivational videos. So I have been telling people that this is a short part of our lives, but it is, after all, 6 or 7 months. So now it's pretty long. So I guess I have changed in one way, that I've become a little, now I'll say something very personal, but it's a little more deep in my meditation. So I always used to have some engagement after my meditation and something to be ready for. So it was always a little. The end of the meditation is when you feel the peaceful calmness. After you have done your techniques or whatever you do, you feel that peaceful calmness, and you should maintain it for at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes more. But I used to, get up a little earlier than that, and then I used to probably not reap the harvest of that hard work of meditation. So I think I've managed that, and I've become more calm now with that, and it really, really helps me throughout the day. I think that is one. The other is I've managed to read a little more than I used to. So that also has helped me. These two things I've changed a little bit more. So maybe that overall calmness level has increased a little more.
Yeah, it's actually the art of stillness that gets you the connect.
That's right.
And
That's
what about your
absolutely
favorite book?
right.
The book that you were mentioning when we were having a discussion, that the
Yes, I can actually show it
Autobiography
here.
of a Yogi. Yes.
Yeah, I have a cover. I have the book here because it's always around, and this is the book. And this is a book which has changed many lives, and I don't need to publicize it or promote it because it's my favorite, but it is a bestseller. And yeah, so talking about the book, Ritu, it's like, it's a book of a monk's life story, and he has written about how he was in his young childhood days and how he went to America and stayed there for 30 years and more, and how he became a world-renowned monk, although he doesn't say that, but we know it. So the book is actually inspiring in every page, and not only as a writer and as an author, where it's wonderfully well written, no doubt, but more than that, the spiritual aspect of life and why we are here, why are you and I and everyone else going through this journey, and what is really what is it that we should gather from this journey. That is what becomes pretty clear to us if we read the book once. If we read it more than once, then it becomes even more clear. So this kind of book which grows on you, and I actually read a page or two every day so that it keeps me, engrossed and absorbed. And it'll be surprising to you that every time I read it, I find something that I
Something
missed the
new.
last time.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
the
the
more
kind
you
of book
read,
that
the more clarity you start getting.
absolutely, because our receptivity changes, right?
Yes.
So we are on a journey, and we are hopefully becoming better, more receptive than we were. So that restlessness calms down, and you receive more. So that's why I love it. But it's not all about me. You can tell us about your favorite book and what is it that you love about it.
I'm not too much of a reader, but I like to listen to Sadhguru, and I also go on YouTube and I find a lot of interesting motivational talks by a lot of people. I've been following you on Instagram, and you've been giving a lot of motivational talks. So, this is the time when I have a 17-year-old son sitting at home, getting frustrated to some level. So, what is that one advice that you would want to give this generation who's had a bad year, and they still don't have the clarity whether they're going to go back to school or it's going to be just sitting at home the entire year? So what is that one thing that a child needs, or a student, or even us, all age groups need to know, that this will pass? And how do we maintain our calmness? How would you motivate a restless soul?
Yeah, you're absolutely right to ask that question, because all of us are restless. All of us are in the middle of something or the other. A 17-year-old has the right to be restless almost. I mean, I was probably at my most restless at 17 or 18, and hopefully I have calmed down more. But at that time, you want to do so many things, and there is as we were talking, I mean, being captive at home for 6-7 months at that age is really excruciating. But I would say that if at that age your son or any other boy or girl is able to look at the bigger picture somehow, that this is going to pass, I am going to get into some other activity soon, and this is not going to stay forever, then only he'll be able to come out of it. And then, we don't spend too much time in social media also at a young age, because that often actually makes our life a little skewed. And if you spend more time with nature as much as you can, now you can go out these days, and you can spend time with sports and nature and books, and a little less on technology, then your life is more balanced. I think these two things will help him and all his age group to understand that life is not as difficult as it seems at the moment, because that uncertainty is what really troubles us. What will I do in life? What will I become? Will my parents be proud of me or not? That kind of thing, I think they need to be given that pat on the back. So I'm sure
the pressure that they've started feeling now.
The pressure needs to be reduced by the parents, and many parents are very good at actually piling on the pressure. So I think they need to chill a little bit. In the youngsters' language, they need to take a chill pill.
Yeah. So how would you define success? What is success to you?
I'm very glad you asked me that, because my book is called Finding Success Within. So I'm, in fact, why don't I show a copy of that as well to our viewers? Although I hope all my friends have read it, but this is the book. Actually, success is happiness. Without happiness, there's no success, because ultimately all the money and all the power and all the fame that you accrue in your life is temporary and transient and passing. Unless you have enjoyed the journey, you are not going to get that feeling of being successful, because each goal that you score or you achieve is going to be meaningless before the next goal. So you're always looking for more and more and more of whatever you have. And that way, you're never going to be successful in the ultimate analysis. So even Donald Trump doesn't look happy in his, I mean, nowadays he's got the virus, but he doesn't look happy. The most powerful man in the world doesn't look happy, and he's one of the richest as well. So there's something missing there. And Barack Obama in the same position, because he was that kind of, or is that kind of human being, looked so complete in his persona. I think it's that inner calmness and peace that gives you more success. Of course, you have to aspire to do better in life with all the work that you have. You have to keep achieving whatever you can materially, but enjoying the journey and being at peace with yourself and spreading cheer, that is success in my view. Making others happy is success.
Success, yeah. They can take away your money, but they can't take away your experience and knowledge.
Exactly.
That's something that will always stay with you. So you've also been talking about calmness and your book, what you wrote about success, and you've been taking so many sessions. Any particular incident that you remember which you can share with us that's stayed with you? Something that you some interaction that stayed, or a story that you heard, or a story that you gave somebody?
Yeah, I'll tell you a couple, Ritu. I'll tell you two of them. Actually, one was in somebody else's talk. There was a senior monk of YSS, the path I follow, who was speaking at Punjab University. And I was there in the audience, and a boy gets up after his talk on meditation and calmness. The Q&A was on. Okay. And this boy asks Swamiji, he says, Swamiji, I was outside the hostel and my warden insulted me in front of my friends. And now I want to bash up and beat up my warden. And the warden was also there, the professors were there, and there's a boy from first year or whatever. And Swamiji is asked this question, so what should I do? I feel like beating him up. And Swamiji, without batting an eyelid, he says, who is controlling your mind at the moment? Are you controlling your mind, or is the warden controlling you? Are you allowing him to make inroads into your peaceful state of being, or is he getting the upper hand over you because he's controlling? You think that? The guy said, yes. He's on my mind all the time because of what he said. He says, Swamiji says that it's very difficult to forgive someone like who's insulted, but try, and then I think you'll have the upper hand. Just forgive him in your mind if you can, and make peace with that thought that I have forgiven him for whatever he did to me, and then see if you can. So I really found that message. And this boy actually turned up a year later. Swamiji came again next year for some talk, and he was there. A totally different boy, and he says, one of the reasons I changed was your lecture. So that was one. And another quick incident I'll tell you is from my own talks. I often get this thing after the talk is over. That's how you told us this at this particular time. You told us the motivational story which stayed with me. And then I get a LinkedIn message or a Facebook message or Instagram. That's how 17 or 20-year-olds talk to you. They call that talking, actually, by the way. I was talking to someone on WhatsApp, which means they were actually writing something. Right. Not actually talking, but that's how they talk to me. So they say that you helped us at that time. So that also a lot of joy.
So which is that one word or an adjective that describes you in a nutshell?
I think a lot of people say dynamic, and dynamic is something I like, to be dynamic. I think, and also being an all-rounder. So these are two very laudatory kinds of words. So I want to be very humble and tell you that I try to be humble. Some people say I'm humble. I like that. If says I'm not humble enough, Nina says. So I'll tell her that I try to be humble. That's what I keep telling.
So I also call myself super passionate and humble. So these are two things that I also, the adjectives that I use for myself.
But Ritu, when someone says they are humble, then they're not as humble as they think. So I and you are the same. I think the
Or
two
maybe
of us are
grounded.
probably.
Or maybe
Yeah, we
staying
think we
grounded
are
is
humble.
something that-
Yeah, need to be grounded.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, and what do you feel about the media scene, which is in the, I mean, it's off track. This question doesn't make sense here, but still, I thought it's something very interesting. So, the nation wants to know that what do you feel about the media scenario at the moment?
It's a good question, and I think we only have time for one or two more. So one more maybe after this. So we basically, the media is going overboard. There's no doubt about it. And some of them are out to spoil our mood, and we are letting them. So if we watch the TV news at night, especially, or any time of the day, we are basically sitting ducks for them to spoil our moods and our state of our mind and state of being. So we should switch off that TV and watch cricket or tennis. French Open is on. The IPL is on. Lots of good things to do in life. Read books and chat with your family. Switch off Mr. Goswami and whoever else is there. And then it's much easier for you to lead your life. And TRP ratings would fall if we do that. And then these people will, understand that this is not selling anymore. But as a nation, it's very difficult to get everybody to do that. So they are newspapers. I must commend newspapers. They are less sensational than electronic media.
The electronic media. It's got people hooked onto them.
Exactly. Although they still have a lot of crime and politics on the front page. I mean, many editors are friends. I tell them, why don't you get a good story on the front page? And they do at times. They have pictures and they have an anchor, which is page one anchor. They say that a good story of the day. So that is something inspiring. So I think the media also has its, let's say, they have the heroes and the villains. They have the heroes and the villains. Yeah. So let's back the heroes.
And also, few tips for a person to become a powerful communicator.
Yeah, so I think firstly they need to practice, and nobody is a born communicator. They all learn the ropes. So, and confidence levels need to increase. So you can speak in front of a camera or in front of 10,000 people and you don't change. You speak the same way, as if you're speaking to 2 friends or 4 friends. If you can be in that state of mind, then it needs a lot of practice. So practice before a camera, maybe record your speech, maybe make your mother sit down or your brother sit down or your sister sit down. And if your sister is younger, then you give her a chocolate later, or older also, because otherwise she won't listen to you. So make that practice a part of your communication skills improvement.
So you've given 8 TEDx talks. That's what I was reading in your profile. So, so what are your plans? What next? As soon as everything opens up and things get back to the
So I think I want to deliver about 100 of them TEDx. So I'm very, very happy to give this message, because I have these ideas which are creative, which are more balanced for the youth especially. And they need to listen to people like you, me, and all the other panelists today. All the speakers are great, wonderful speakers. So the more of us who speak to them, the more we'll catch their attention. They live in Instagram. So if we pop up in Instagram and talk to them, they listen to us. If we pop up in their homes, they may not listen to us. So we somehow need to be there and get this message. So I want to do more of this and become part and parcel of their happiness. That's what I'm trying to get the message across to. Ritu, I think we better end this session. I know you have a lot of questions for me and I for you, but we have illustrious people waiting. So let's get.
I know. Sure. It's been
Thank
great
you so much,
talking to
Ritu,
you. Thank you,
for asking
Vibrant
me.
Forum.
Most welcome, and thank you.
Thank you, Anshuman, and welcome, Mac. Nice to see you after such a long time. The best thing about talking to you is that and you need no introduction actually, because you're so well known. You have been one of the oldest residents of the city, and everyone knows that you wear several hats, but only one gown. And that gown has been there with you for, I think, over 50 years and 47 years as a senior advocate. So it's been a long time. And if I correctly recall, I think there have been some Supreme Court judges who were actually junior to you. So that is the kind of experience you have. You've been an advocate general of both Punjab and Haryana, a very unique kind of achievement. And of course, you have been involved in so many PILs, and you have been appointed amicus, so many cases relating to Chandigarh. So maybe, since, as I said, that you are wearing so many hats, so there are so many things to be discussed with you to, and get your views on those. I mean, in Chandigarh itself, for instance, blood bank movement has been unique, and you've been a part of that. Plus, you have been very, familiar with the growth of Chandigarh, evolution of Chandigarh, and then to protect, the heritage of Chandigarh, including PILs against high rises, and maybe why the international airport is not working, or why the Sukna Lake is not what it should have been. So what I would think is that there are so many things to be discussed. So maybe I would like to start with your association with Chandigarh. I know your father came in the 50s. I think he was one of the first to come to Chandigarh, and in the 50s, and you have seen the city grow. So I think I will start first asking you about your last about 60, 70 years. Um, do you think the city has been able to maintain its heritage, and whether what was the kind of experience when you came here initially?
Well, Vipin, it's such a long story, and 15 minutes is not enough to share it with you. But I'll
Yes.
make an attempt. And in my opinion, when we moved here on the 1st of January 1955, the High Court was the only building in the capital complex which had been built. So Sardar Pratap Singh Caron, who was the chief minister, said, let's shift the lawyers, the judges, bring them here. That's the only way we'll habitate the city. So when we moved here, there was no lake. The lake was dug after we moved. And I've literally seen the city grow. Our house in Sector 4 was the second house built in the sector. And you can imagine, there was total wilderness. People used to think, देखो पागल है, जाके जंगल में सिटी बसाने जा रहे हैं. बारिश आती है तो सब्जी भी नहीं पहुंचती from Ambala. Can you imagine? All our fresh vegetables used to come from Ambala. But I'm really upset that the first 25 to 30 years were very good. But then when people realize that it's a great success, that boom has led to its destruction. And I think it no longer is what was envisaged by the original planners, the original residents, etc. And I found a very interesting judgment by Justice Krishna Iyer given in the year 79. And in one sentence, he says, this is in 1979, he says, Chandigarh, a blossom in the desert, has served as the capital of two states, and with explosive expansion, thanks to the marvelous human resources of Punjab and Haryana, become a crowded, though not yet chaotic city with chronic accommodation scarcity. Today, I will call it chaotic. I will call it it's almost become chaotic.
Yeah, I think it was envisaged for a population of about 5 lakhs, and now I think we are about 12 lakhs or something in the state.
Well, not 12 lakh. If you take the Tri-City, yes, we are even more than that.
Okay.
It was originally planned for 500,000. But with all the modifications of rules, we have traffic problems, we have noise pollution problems, we have law and order problems, things which were taken for granted. And, in a planned city, you don't have 24 hours running water, which is what we had in the initial 10 years. And things like that, people, when I tell people, they find it difficult to believe.
Yeah, Mac, I know that you're very, very particular about the heritage of Le Corbusier and the city and the culture that has been there, that was envisaged for Chandigarh. But don't you think cities are organic? They evolve, so they're not static. I mean, they evolve. There are needs. There are more population coming in and technology coming in. There are several other things. So should we just get stuck to the plan of Le Corbusier and his team, or should we look ahead?
Well, we have already passed that stage. We can no longer stick to Corbusier's plan, because what he had planned was that around the city there'll be a periphery control region of 10 miles. And with Panchkula and Mohali coming up, and now with Mullapur, what they call New Chandigarh, which I think is very...
But Mac, before that, before Mohali and Panchkula, it was Chandi Mandir, which the government itself, the Chandi Mandir cantonment was set up. That was perhaps the first violation of that norm.
Well, let's put it another way. That kind of a development was envisaged. Corbusier had envisaged it. That was a very well-planned thing. But if you look at Nayagaon and Zirakpur around, they've been allowed to develop, and after that they've been notified as area committees and municipal committees and states. There's a world of a difference between the two.
Okay, but you see, things have actually changed, as you are saying. These have changed, but certain things may actually require to be changed. For instance, in the northern sectors, there are huge plots. There are maybe 6 canal plots, even if it could be even more. I don't know, but 6 canals at least I know. And you see the situation in some of these sectors. You also live in the one of those sectors. Is that there are just 1 or 2 old people left there? It's a 6 canal house, just one person or another aged person. So don't you think there is time now that you also, at least shorten the plots or cut those plots into maybe 3 or 4? What do you think about it?
You see, when Paris was planned, and the heart of Paris, if you go there, just because the original owner has died, you don't change the plan of the city. That is how all the major cities have been preserved, because the humans have to adapt themselves to a planned city. Otherwise, what does planning mean? It doesn't make sense. But since we are talking about Chandigarh, I want to share the human activity in Chandigarh, what has contributed to the whole country. And one of them is, as you mentioned, my interest in blood donation. Now, the PGI was set up in 1962. The first blood transfusion department came in 1963. Dr. Jolly was the head. And he found all over India, they were buying and selling blood. Can you imagine rickshaw pullers selling their blood for 50 rupees, substandard blood, and the poor patient would die? And so he said that we must make sure that we collect blood only from voluntary sources. And I'm very proud to say that Chandigarh was the first city in the whole country where not a single drop of blood has been bought or sold. It has been through voluntary sources. And the PGI is one of the largest hospitals in the country, and entire supply is met by voluntary blood donation. Now, that is the fantastic positive side of the story. That is how humans can rise to the occasion and fill up a gap which may be existing in the system. It's the same with architecture. It's the same with heritage. But the will has to be there. The will to preserve it has to be there, which unfortunately, with the later generations, the younger generations and the people who have migrated to Chandigarh later after the 70s haven't understood the concept of Corbusier and what led to the setting up of Chandigarh. And that is why I'm always saying every school child should be taken to the capital complex. The history of Chandigarh should be explained to them. That is not happening till today. We have forces and their police escorts with great difficulty. I fought with the High Court, and we got the Tourist Information Center, and now we can actually go there with a permit, not for the last 6 months. Though.
Yes. That open hand monument you're talking about, is it? The open hand monument. That was closed for several years for visitors on security grounds. Although, people used to play cricket and all that there, I recall. But it was actually closed. And several other areas which were not developed in the Capitol complex. Now they have come out, like Tower of Shadows and other things. But I don't think the entire concept is still there. Maybe they could have built like that artificial lake, artificial hill was supposed to be there, and other features into that. So certainly, and I think it's a mecca for architects, and particularly the northern part of the sector, certainly. So, you were talking about this blood donation movement. In fact, I wanted to discuss a little more about it. And a little bird did tell me that you donated your first time you donated blood was to impress your prospective mother-in-law. So could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, this takes us back to 1968. And I just got to know that my current wife liked me and I liked her. And lo and behold, one day on the 18th of January, I'll never forget that date, 1968, they were in Government College holding a blood donation camp. So just to impress Neeti, as well as my mother-in-law, I gathered up enough courage to stick my arm out. I was scared as hell, but I shut my eyes and I started praying and it donated blood. And I thought I was a hero. But luckily, 6 years later, we got married. And both of us got so involved. My mother-in-law was the one who started the Blood Bank Society in Chandigarh in 1964.
Right.
I mean, she's known as the mother of voluntary blood donation throughout India. And that's thanks to Chandigarh and thanks to her that we are reaping the benefits of her devotion. So we both started donating blood. I celebrated my birthday, our wedding anniversaries, our children's birthdays, children's anniversaries, and now our grandchildren's birthdays. And it was so happy. When I became Advocate General Punjab, I first donated blood and then took charge. Advocate General Haryana, I did the same thing. Now, this is what I want to share. And today, during the pandemic, we are facing a huge shortage because people are scared of going to the blood center. I can assure them, we have all the safety precautions. We will make sure nobody gets COVID. And touch wood, not a single donor has got it till now. We have been so very careful. So I can use this forum to appeal to anyone. Please go and donate blood or organize a blood donation camp because there are patients whose life depends on it.
Absolutely. It's a gift which nobody, that can't compare it with anything else. It's such a precious gift. And you have donated over 100 times. I think about 115 times, and you and Niti have together about 180 times, which is truly remarkable. And also that how you have encouraged others to do that. I mean, this is a gift which you, Chandigarh is so proud of it. That we if we need blood, it's available there, and there are donors. And I know a lot of blood donation camps were held in the past, but I find those have slackened a bit in the last 3-4 months. Even PGI Blood Bank Society is not doing that much of campaign which it used to do earlier.
Most of these camps were held in educational institutions,
Okay,
and
all
all
right.
universities, they are closed. We had blood donation camp in the High Court 3 times in a year. We have not been able to do it since March. So a lot of that's why my appeal. Please come, organize them. We will come and have a donor every 15 minutes. We have social distancing. We wear masks, etc. So that's why this is a problem. But we have to find a solution. We are human beings. We can find a solution without any difficulty. Some organizations are doing it. Like on the 1st of October, the National Blood Donation Day, Viswash Foundation held a camp, and they gave us 101 donors in one day. With that 6 donors in an hour, sort of spacing and things, and nobody's so close, but you can do it. So this is what Chandigarh is proud of. But if you go back to the 60s and 70s, a husband would not donate blood for his wife because they had so many fears and so many myths in their minds that if I donate blood, I will become impotent or things like that. But we motivated them, we removed these myths, and slowly today you go to any corner of the world and they find out, oh, you're from Chandigarh. I saw you at a blood donation camp.
Okay.
And
that's very interesting. Yeah.
On the lighter side, if I'm a speaker at a function, they introduce you, your qualifications, what all you've done. But the biggest applause comes when they're told that I've donated blood 115 times.
Yeah. That's a truly big
Very
achievement.
satisfying feeling. Very satisfying.
That absolutely. You're a role model in that sense. And as I said in the beginning, there's so many things that you are involved in that's so difficult to fit it in 15 minutes. So we can't do much justice to that. We'll have more sessions coming. But just before we close, something about Sajoba, because that is something that the old students association of your school, and the way it has and Vivek is also a student of that school.
Vivek is a past president of Sajoba. You see, I joined St. John's the day it opened on the 1st of February 1960. So I was.
So you joined the first year? You joined it the first year?
The first day. No, I was not in KG. I was in class 7 at that time. I was shifted from senior school. So I passed out in 1964. And I was very keen on starting it. I started Sajoba in 1980. And again, it's the human spirit, which has made St. John's Old Boys Association one of the most active, agile alumni association of a school anywhere in the world. This is a certificate given by Brother Philip Pinto, who was heading 600 schools globally. So
I brought it to India, but I just learned that it's globally.
No, it's all over the world. The colleges and universities have very active ones, but schools don't have such active ones. So it is again the Sajoba spirit. Once you've been to that school, you understand. And I tell everyone that if people think that Kapil Sibal became a minister because he joined St. John's School, they say, he's a member of Sajoba. I said, you can't become a member of Sajoba unless you've gone to St. John's School. so that is a prerequisite.
Yeah. So really, it was built on a very strong foundation. Also, you have the car rallies and all that. So much of other activity. That's wonderful.
And 2 blood donation camps a year. We hold
Oh, you
2
also
blood
organize that?
a
Okay.
year, but this year that has not been possible because the school is not open.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Anyway, Mike, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we'll look forward to more sessions like that with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vipin.
Well, I guess it's our turn now. Good evening, everybody. Namaskar. And I must say, it's such an engaging lineup this evening with conversations, so many different ones at that, interwoven into one platform. We've spoken about women in the workspace, we've spoken about the city of Chandigarh, finding success within. And now, the flavor that we bring you is related to perhaps the most important aspect of ourselves, which is our health. More so in this time of work from home. So first of all, let me give a sincere gratitude to Vibrant Networking Forum for having us here this evening. And a very warm welcome to you, Dr. Anil Sharma, for being here with us this evening. How are you doing?
Thank you, Niharika. Thanks Vibrant for the platform, giving me opportunity to guide you. Thank you.
So just a brief introduction, very brief, because we have less time to discuss the questions that I have for you. So Dr. Anil Sharma is a preventive physiotherapist, and his specialty lies in practicing preventive physiotherapy, which is how to take care of the problems that affect your body before they actually manifest themselves in you, particularly corporate preventive physiotherapy, if I'm right, Dr. Tap. And in your 2+ decades of experience, I'm sure there must be lots of knowledge that we have to share this evening. So let me begin with the first question. In all those years of treating patients over the years, what are the 2 or 3 most common problems that you observe in everybody, which tend to exist across ages and across genders, men or women, and any kind of profession, be it a profession which requires standing for long hours or sitting for long hours?
Yeah, Niharika, see what happens. I had seen in last 25 or 27 years, the problem of back pain, neck pain, and knees pain are so predominantly seen in the population. And I have seen the regression. Earlier, the problem used to happen at the age of 50. And now the same problems are occurring at the age of 25 plus or 30. And I give the reason to these things is this reverse engineering. I give a reason to basically our sitting postures, our way of doing things. That is getting very important into it. And you know what happens? Like people are having prolonged sitting hours or prolonged standing working hours, and on top of that, the lack of exercise is also increasing up. So these 2 things combining together are actually precipitating the problems, and we need to really work on these things. And instead of getting treatment for those things, we should work in the very budding stage so that we can prevent those typical problems to develop in.
Like they say, prevention is better than cure. Yes. So you spoke about lack of exercise. I think that has increased more during this lockdown phase, during the work from home phase, and also the deteriorating postures. So we are sitting slouching like this instead of sitting straight, and we are sitting on our beds and working. I am guilty of that myself, without table. And, our workplaces also keep changing. So if in the earlier part of the day, we are sitting on the bed, perhaps in the later part of the day, we shift to the table, or perhaps in an even later part of the day, we shift somewhere else. How do we sort out these problems? And also, what new problems has work from home brought in terms of our postures and health?
So what happens during our offline phases when we used to go to the office? So there's a aura of the office. You are sitting in the office, there's a stipulated area, there's a stipulated workstation. Now we are working from home, so we are in our comfort zone also. So sometimes we are on the dining table, sometimes we are on the bed, sometimes we are study table. So we are actually working from home in our comfort zone, and then the mobility has reduced. See, when we were in the office that time, like there were many options to move here and there. But now at home, there is no option. So
Correct.
that has actually reduced your activity level and actually increasing the stiffness in the body, increasing the movement of the body, and so you are working more, working more mentally, less physically.
Correct.
So
Correct.
this work from home series has added these things to our further problems.
Correct.
And obviously now we are all the time on the system, so we don't have any excuse. So we don't do any exercise. Also, we don't get time to exercise. So I would say is at least stick to your working platform, stick to your working system. If you are better, always do on a table and chair. Don't use sofas, don't use beds and all this, because the moment you go onto those platforms, definitely you are going to go into a comfortable position, which is going to create a problem.
Correct. So I just want to draw attention to two possible solutions which we may have to this problem. First of all, is that we can look at it in two terms, जैसे आप हमेशा सिखाते हैं, in terms of people and in terms of the system of working. So first is, and second thing I want to ask you is that in business, we are always talking about the 80-20 rule. So is there an 80-20 kind of rule which we can apply to our new workstations, work from home, where, you know, we work for probably 80 minutes, 80 seconds or something like that, and then look away for 20 minutes? So kuch kar sakte hain?
Definitely. All the things are like, first you have to be agile, and first you have to be actually confident about yourself. So you decide, like, I have to do. So for example, you said there are two modules. So you have to change yourself as well as you have to change your working station. So working station means what should be the distance of the monitor from your eyes, what should be the height of the monitor, as well as what should be the chair. We should be very much choosy about the chairs. So wherever when we are sitting on a chair, definitely we should be able to keep our feet flat on the floor with knees 90-degree bend. Similarly, the monitor level should be like from our eyes. If I'm sitting like this, so monitor should be 15 degree down from my eyes. So that is the right way of like alignment of your monitor. Now, rules, as you were talking about rules, definitely there should be a rule of any and every game. So first thing is, I always say there is a rule of 20-20-20.
Okay, not 80-20, but 20-20-20.
Yeah. So as this is the time or era of online, so our actually screen time has increased a lot.
Of course, we're on Zoom calls the entire day.
So our eyes are getting compromised a lot, apart from the body. So we need to relax our eyes. So this 20-20 rule is for that. So that this 20-20 rule means every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds.
All right.
So
Okay.
अगर मैं इसको और आसान भाषा में कहूँ कि आप अपनी चेयर से 20 फुट की दूरी पर किसी चीज को 20 सेकंड तक, every 20 मिनट, every 20 minutes आपको उसको स्टेयर करना है इस तरीके से. So staring means that staring actually relaxes your eyes. Staring like this relaxes your eyes. So this is one thing. And another rule is, after every 25 minutes to 30 minutes, change your posture. If you are working in the standing posture, sit down. And if you are working in the sitting posture, change to the standing posture. And one tip which everybody can do everywhere is, our neck is very much compromised in all these things. So I always suggest you can at least do some glidings. I'll just show you. For example, one can do this gliding, like I show you the sideways. Now you see. So there are three movements. One is this way, one is downward direction, and one is upward direction. So these three directions glidings, if we start doing, say, about every hour, so by the end of 8 hours working job or 8 hour working online, we would not be generating neck stiffness. So we would be actually reducing the chances of cervical spondylitis development. So this
And
is such a small thing. Yes.
What I was going to say is that very interestingly, these are exercises we can do sitting right where we are. We don't need to take out extra time for a workout.
So Niharika, I add one point here. See, I suggest my patients, see, whenever we are driving, so in our total day driving, we come across approximately 10 red lights. Or every red light has got a span of 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Correct.
So if I am sitting on my driving seat and if I just do these 3 movements five times, which hardly takes 30 seconds. So by the end of the day, I have done on those red lights also, I have done 10 times this particular activity.
Correct.
So you don't you say me, sir, I don't have a time to exercise. You should have a zeal to do exercise instead of time.
Of course, and I think these are very, very simple things. Often what holds us back from doing exercises that we need to take out extra time, or that to be healthy our workouts need to be very complex. That's not the I feel speaking to you, because the 20-20-20 rule and the neck gliding rule seems very simple. So just
along with this also, I would say we should develop a habit of doing exercise at workplace.
And how is that?
I have a full modules, I have a full plan like this, like we can do many exercise while sitting in our office chair, be it arm, be it, so there's lots of things. We should have a vision for that particular thing and somebody there to guide us on that.
Right, absolutely. So I think we've exhausted our time, Dr. Saab. Thank you so much for those very simple tips. I can judge from the comments that we are getting that that have resonated well with the audience. And I'm sure if they want to learn more, they can reach you on your YouTube channel, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. My YouTube channel is The Physicaire, Dr. Anil Sharma.
Okay, sure. So I'm sure there will be more exercises for working at the workplace and for
Yes.
I hope we were able to add value to our viewers this evening. So this is now the time that we make way for the next pair on the hot seat and the cold seat, Simarpreet ji and Siddhant ji. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Niharika.
Yes, we can start with the conversation, sir. Over to you, Siddhant, sir.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Siddhant, sir, you're audible. We can see you and we can hear you now. So we can start with the conversation.
Hello.
Siddhant, sir, can you hear us?
I can't hear you. I was wondering if you could hear me. I can hear you, Anshuman. Yeah, Simar.
Yes, Siddhant, how are you?
Okay, great. So I think we're all set. Right.
Sure.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Vibrant Forum. Tonight we have a very special guest with us on the hot seat. And before we begin, I'd like to inform the audience that if you have any questions, you may please put it into the chat box, or you could message Anshuman, so that we don't waste too much time at the end. Already we are pretty short of time. So let me begin by saying that Simarpreet is a young, dynamic entrepreneur on a mission to create a better and a sustainable world for our future generations. He is the director of Hartech Group and founder at Hartech Solar, which sets up solar panels on rooftops across the country with a focus to convert every roof to a solar roof, generating power through a sustainable source. The company is among India's top 10 solar installers. He is also the founder of Hartech India, which manufactures high-quality, medium-voltage electrical panels and control relay panels used in all kinds of power infrastructure across the country. He was named in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list, class of 2019, under the manufacturing and energy category. He has been awarded the Entrepreneur of the Year 2018 by SPJ IMR Awards. Apart from that, he's also the youngest chairman of PhD Chambers Regional Committee of Power and Renewable Energy under the Punjab chapter. He has a deep passion and love for public speaking and constantly motivates the young generations to follow their dreams and adopt sustainable forms of energy. He is a regular guest faculty member at nationally reputed institutes of professional education like the Narsi Munji Institute of Management, Mumbai, the Indian Institute of Management, Amritsar, Punjab Engineering College, etc., etc. To reach a wider audience, he recently started his YouTube channel. He started the YouTube channel in the month of 2018, January 2018. Well, that's quite a bio, Simar. And how old are you again?
Thank you, Siddhant, for this lovely introduction. मैं आज आपसे I think मजाक कर रहा था. I think Forbes did a wonderful thing. मेरी age clear हो गई. नहीं तो I am 6'2" और मैं पहले मेरे को लगता था यार 35-40 साल का होगा. But last year this happened, so I think Forbes did a good thing for me. But I turned 30 in August. But thank you for the wonderful bio, and it's always a pleasure coming to Vibrant Forum. I'm a huge admirer of Vivek ji, the wonderful work which Anshuman and the team are doing. And it's always a pleasure coming to this platform and speaking my heart out to all the viewers.
Well, all I know is most youngsters my age are worried either about getting hitched or getting a stable job before 30. So that way, Simar, your accomplishments are truly praiseworthy. Now, coming to my questions, tell us more about your background. How did you grow up, and what motivated you to start Heartex Solar?
So I think दोनों चीजें important है. Getting hitched and getting a stable income is दोनों ही important है. And I think it's very important how one balances that. Punjab से हैं तो you know how Punjabi families are, the kind of pressures. But I think I'm a very firm believer in finding your passion and finding that one thing, that will take you ahead in life. Come from a very simple family here in Chandigarh, and I grew up in Chandigarh, was born in Chandigarh, really loved the city, and did my schooling here, did my engineering here, went down to do my MBA from SP Jain Bombay. That was one of a very, very instilling, I would say, a very game-changing experience to meet a lot of professionals, especially in Bombay. So I think that was the background. And when you specifically say about what inspired me for specifically Heartex Solar and the power sector, there were many small incidents, like there were back-to-back incidents almost 10 years back when I finished my engineering. But one incident, if I have to point out, which actually changed me and actually gave me that sort of a path that this is what I have to do, was my encounter or my visit when I met Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Sahab. This was back in 2011, if I'm right. So 2011, yeah, roughly around that time. I think it was just a 2-minute conversation which I had, and I still, जब भी मैंने उनके हाथ जब मिलाया, I still get goosebumps when I actually narrate this. And he was, of course, addressing to 5-6 people. उनके आसपास पूरा घेरा लगा के हम सारे. He was about to speak and give a keynote at our college, and उससे पहले, and there were two things that stood out. What he said was, one was that every home, every house should get sustainable water, sustainable energy. And, the second thing which he emphasized, that let's all truly build India as a happy nation. Siddhant, उस टाइम पे आपको समझ नहीं आती है ये क्या बोल रहे हैं. आपको इतना पता है कि यार जो आपके सामने खड़ा आदमी ये बहुत बड़ा लेजेंड है, राइट? उनकी एनर्जी, मतलब वो हाथ जो मिलाया मेरे अभी भी इतना फ्रेश है मेरे दिमाग में. But as they say, that you cannot connect the dots looking, forward. But जब आप पीछे देखते हो, you can connect. I think that was the inspiration. And he mentions this in his book, Vision 2020, India 2020, Wings of Fire. He mentions in this book that हर घर को sustainable energy, sustainable पानी मिलना चाहिए. And the thing that actually pushed me, off the cliff, Siddhant, was that जितने भी startups बने हैं 10 साल में, सारे ही आपकी wants पे बने हैं. खाना खाना आपकी need है, ऑनलाइन खाना मंगाना आपकी want है, कपड़े डालना आपकी need है, ऑनलाइन कपड़े मंगाना आपकी want है. There were no organizations working on basic needs, which is electricity. The fact of the matter is 140 करोड़ की आबादी है, 30 करोड़ के पास still अभी 100% electricity नहीं है. Still जब हम 20 most polluted countries cities की बात करते हैं पूरी दुनिया में, इंडिया में से 16 वो cities आती हैं. Who's solving these basic problems? 70 करोड़ के पास clean drinking water नहीं है. So I think it was a combination of a lot of things that happened, and that changed me. I was very clear back about almost 8 years back that this is where I want to spend my life in. You know, I believe, Siddhant, to do one thing in life, right? When you think of a pizza, you don't go to McDonald's. When you think of a burger, you don't go to Pizza Hut, right? If you think globally, companies which have focused on one problem, one product, have become Fortune 500 global companies. So I thought that, you know, life एक है, तो एक life में एक ही पहाड़ एक बार में चले. And I feel sustainable energy की problem बहुत important थी. So ये ऐसे start हुआ Hatek Solar. And today the love, the support that has been given across the country is just amazing. So if you ask me, that one thing was Kalam Sahab, and he's as I don't think he's I don't use the word late Dr. Abdul Kalam. I think he's omnipresent. What he's done for Bharat, what he's done for this country, no one can do that.
No, you're absolutely correct that way, in the sense that I can feel the passion in your voice. And that is very inspiring. And in fact, your capitalism is not just pure capitalism, it's a capitalism with purpose. And I feel if more companies would follow the path which you have shown and which you are continuing to show, I'm sure the day is not far when India will be a superpower, according to the Abdul Kalam ji. So my next question to you, and which is, again, I was discussing with you this morning, and it's something which is very close to my heart as well, is although you are on the Forbes 30 and the 30 Asia list, which is in itself an achievement and very cool, and in fact, the envy of many. Unfortunately, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Chandigarh, our hometown, which is 30th on the ease of doing business list. And if I'm correct, it's at the bottom of the ladder in the entire country. So what do you think we can do to improve this ranking? And do you have any suggestions for the local administration? And how do we balance, as in one of the panelists was talking about heritage of the city, how do we balance the needs of the economy and the fact that there are millions of people who are out of jobs and the GDP is at an all-time low? And I was reading an article in the Times of Chandigarh just yesterday that although our neighboring states, their GST has grown percent year on year, Chandigarh has decreased year.
Anshuman, I think Siddhant,
Yeah, I think there are some connectivity issues. So I think the question that Siddhant sir was asking was that how can we improve the ease of doing business in Chandigarh? So what would you say to that, sir?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. पहली बात जब हम बोलते हैं administration को क्या suggestion है? पहली बात, let's understand that administration is we people, right? There are all people on the other side of the desk, right? Who's sitting. We have great administrators who are part of vibrant community also. So when we talk about this problems, right? When we talk about ease of business, when we talk about what is the fundamental reason behind this? The fundamental reason behind this is leadership, right? अगर हम अपने मतलब एक simple सी बात बता देता हूँ, Anshuman and Siddhant also जब ये बात पूछी, when you go deeper into it, जब आप 100 लोगों को आज बुला लो, इकट्ठा कर लो और उनको आप बोलिए कि ये काम करना है, कौन जिम्मेवारी लेगा? There is a very good clipping that who wants change? Everybody says हाथ खड़ा करते हैं. Who wants to change? Nobody wants to change. It is a fundamental problem that our upbringing. अगर देखें, this is the third generation post-independence of this country. हमारी अगर देखें तो third or fourth generation की अब आ गई है. It is to do with leadership. Ease of business is a mindset, right? Why today when we talk about Silicon Valley, we glorify that. We say that बहुत आसान है काम करना, because वो fact है. I think the only point here we need to understand, and which Siddhant beautifully pointed out, is when you talk about capitalism, I think everybody in the ecosystem, not only the bureaucrats, but everybody, you, me, all of us, have to understand that fundamentally what needs to be done, what enterprises have to come in the ecosystem to actually take the country forward. अंशुमन यहाँ पे मैंने एक स्टोरी हमेशा बताता हूँ कि जब मैं जापान गया था आज से 6 साल पहले, वहां पे ना मैंने पूछा कि why Japan is where it is today in the world, and that person answered a very beautiful thing. He said that the difference between us and the rest of the world, he didn't mention India or US or China. He said that you guys work firstly for yourself, then for the company, then for the country. And here in Japan, it's completely opposite. We work for the country first, we work for a company second, then the fundamental point here to understand is that all the ecosystem that is being built or the businesses, are we adding value to the ecosystem? So I think when we say ease of business, we need to understand things. One, to understand and come together as leadership, that business is not about making money. Business is about also ensuring that we all get ahead and add value to the country. And my second, I'm not a bureaucrat, right? I am an entrepreneur. I understand building things. I understand solving a problem which is sustainable energy. मेरे को इतनी बात समझ आती है कि अगर ऐसे ही चलता रहा जो क्लाइमेट चेंज पे हो रहा है, जो भी चीजें चलता रहा, आई डोंट थिंक सो दैट 20 साल के बाद ये जो हम बात कर रहे हैं इवन सस्टेन. So my only point is we need to also understand the underlying issues and try to address that. It's not a very easy situation, but I think मुझे जितना भी मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया है, I think very transparent and very honest, and I think we are spread across the country. And I've been very, very transparent, and our organization has been very honest and transparent. Guys, this is the problem. This is what we're facing, and these are the best practices. What Siddhant also asked, I think we also need to learn competition, healthy competition. जरूरी अगर कोई दूसरी स्टेट बढ़िया काम कर रही है, and I feel I have given a lot of suggestions to many of our bureaucrats and our administration, which is always very good receiving. बड़ा positively लेते हैं. So I think these are things which I wanted to broadly touch base.
Okay. Siddhant sir, can you hear us?
Yes. Sorry, there was a technical issue, so I missed most of it, but I'm sure I'll catch up with you on those suggestions.
So we can take up one more question, sir. We can take up one more question. What do you?
Right. So I think a very important question would be that you are definitely a role model for all budding entrepreneurs. What is your secret to success at such a young age? If you could please share with our audience today.
I think the first secret of success is not to consider as a role model, not to think very highly about yourself. I think that is the first secret of success. Log Siddhant bolte hain how to handle failure, but I think more important is how to handle success is more important than how to handle failure. Having said that, there is no secret. You get up in the morning and you do work. So I think the only success and only secret to success is execute. That's about it. बातें करके कुछ नहीं होने वाला. People say नुक्कड़ में बात करते हैं जी ये आइडिया था वो आइडिया था. End of story. आइडिया को execute करिए, प्रोडक्ट को execute करिए. The God lies, respect lies in execution. My message to all budding entrepreneurs, which I जितने भी managers हैं, professionals हैं, entrepreneurs, I was reading your bio, reading entrepreneur, which is very interesting. And I feel that this country would be built by entrepreneurs. There is so much emphasis on entrepreneurs and business leaders. Ultimately, let's understand that organizations are built by managers and professionals who have to understand and take the vision forward. So I think my only secret, or I don't know whether it is secret or not, it is stay focused, solve one problem at a time. मुझे सिद्धांत ऐसे लगता है that लोग 10-15 चीजें एक बार में पकड़ लेते हैं. It should not be there. Solve one problem. And lastly, सिद्धांत, मैं हर फोरम पे बात बोलता हूँ, अगर आप पैसे के लिए बिजनेस स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं तो मत कीजिए. There are chances that if you are in a stable job, you'll be more financially successful than starting a business. Chances are more. So if it is only for the money, don't do it. That's about it. ये मेरे 3 चीजें हैं. And execute. That's it. Don't talk, just execute.
I'm really glad that you said that, because these are the same views which my parents keep telling me. And although I have a habit of jumping from one thing to the other, but I think I'm going to follow that really strictly in my life as well. So, and I open the floor to questions from the audience. I don't know if we have time or not since we've been cut short. But if any of our panelists or viewers would like to ask a question, if you have the time, and if not, then Simar, it was truly a pleasure talking to you, and we thank everyone for joining in this Saturday evening. And now I hand over to Anshuman.
Right. So thank you so much, sir. Simar, sir, it is always a pleasure to have you on the forum. And if you have just a couple of minutes, sir, I would just like to ask you one question, time permitting. Yeah, sure. So one question is that being the director of one of the biggest sustainable companies in India, I would want to ask you that how can we encourage other people to get into sustainable businesses? Like you said that people are solving problems that are our wants, not our needs. If you look at IPL today, CRED and all the big companies that are sponsoring and the big companies of India, they are all solving the problems that are our wants and not needs. So how can we encourage people to build more sustainable businesses?
Anshuman, whenever I see you, whenever I hear you, it's always a pleasure. I'm seeing your growth day by day. It's just amazing. यार अंशुमन क्यों करना है यार लोगों को motivate? क्यों करना है inspire? If people can't get inspired considering that the entire world जो climate change पे हो रहा है, if people can't get inspired just seeing the figures of what is happening to this climate, to our nation, to our universe, if people cannot understand the fact that 20 most polluted cities in the world में से 16 cities India में से आती है, why do we have to motivate? I don't believe in external motivation. I believe in internal motivation. And क्यों करना है यार motivate? मैं अपनी बात बता सकता हूँ, मुझे पता है क्या अंशुमन मोटिवेट करती है. आज से 20 साल के बाद या 30 साल के बाद 2050-60 में अगर जिंदा रहे तब तक मुझे ये चीज मोटिवेट करती है कि हमारे पोते या बच्चे हमको ये बोलेंगे कि जब आपको पता लग रहा था कि दुनिया खत्म होने वाली है, इतना खराब चल रहा, तो आपने क्या किया? मेरे को नींद नहीं आती यार इस बात से. So I can't motivate यार, मतलब I don't consider myself as, I don't believe in external motivation, just to tell you right there. I can for people to decide here what path do we want to do. I'm not against the business model of wants. What Kunal is doing for CRED and other people, it's fantastic. It is their mission, it is their problem solving. I feel that there are needs उस पे काम होना चाहिए, और यार external motivation किसको चाहिए, and it is all about यहाँ से आना चाहिए, और जो जिनके आएगा it's all मुझे तो ये चीज मोटिवेट करती है यार कि मेरे पास जवाब होना चाहिए 20 साल के बाद अपने बच्चों को या अपने कोलीग्स को जो हमारे जूनियर्स होंगे, आपको, मेरे को, सबको, we are answerable to the future generations.
Right, that's very true, sir, and I agree with it that intrinsic motivation is the best thing that can happen to an entrepreneur, and that's what makes passionate entrepreneurs in this world. So thank you so much, Simar sir and Siddhant sir. It has been a pleasure to be in conversation with you, and we have had a great lineup. And I would also like to take this opportunity to announce that Vibrant Networking Forum will now start with its photography competition. We have been doing it since the last 2 years, and this is a competition that is exclusively for the members. And if you are someone who is not a member yet, you can send us a message on our Facebook page, or you can also write to us at vibrantnetworkingforum@gmail.com. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. It has been a pleasure, and have a great evening. Watch the IPL match, have fun, stay home, stay safe. Thank you so much.